Okay, we have a pillow under the head. Our knee is going to come up just to the level of our hip on our right side if you'd like to start here. And then we're just going to hold our knee level. So you can put your hand on your knee, maybe nice and flat. The knee staying level to the crease of our hip, squeezing your glute and your bum cheek for external rotation of that thigh. We want it about 35 to 45 degrees actively. And then that internal rotation of the thigh. We're going to squeeze the outer hip, the outer thigh, and try to spin it, just like that sweep test. So external rotation, this is a little bit tighter for us. And then that internal rotation, which also we need to express through our squats. In any work like that, we can get a bit of thigh rotation to aid in that linear movement. Slow and controlled, you have 5 each way there, George. Knee stays level to that thigh. Yeah, there's that external and then internal rotation. Sometimes that locks out a bit more, but we want about 35 to 45 degrees either way. Good. And then that internal rotation as well, which is tight as well. That's that IT band, that area that we want to move and express a little bit more range in that outer hip, outer thigh.
I'll work on that one, that's for sure.
And then let's switch sides. We'll go 5 each way on that other side. Good. Ankle stays nice and flexed, knees level to that hip. And we're externally rotating, squeezing our glute and range. And then internally rotating, squeezing that outer thigh. About 35 to 45 degrees on either side. Excellent. Pausing at that end range. And a few more reps. Nice and active through that glute. Excellent. And then we'll sit up nice and tall there, whichever side feels the best. So we just moved through that hip rotation where we felt that tissue deep into the socket there. And now with that same movement, we want to feel it deep into our tibia, and we're going to rotate our knees. The thigh is going to lock out. You see the ankle move, but we want to feel the movement deep in your knee. So we'll take our right side here to start, lock out that thigh, and then we'll just have our heel nice in line with our knee. And our tibia can, of course, our knee can flex and extend, but it can also rotate. And so with our thigh locked out, I want you to squeeze this tissue right here and rotate your shin and your ankle in. And then squeeze the outer tibia and try to rotate just like that knee and that shin out. So we have that internal rotation in, and then that external rotation out. That tibia is going to track inside and then outside, and you have 5 each way there. And then we'll go on that other side for 5 each way. And the thigh won't rotate, just this knee internal, and then, and then external, squeezing all the way, getting that tibia to shift right there and rotate. Good. Slow and controlled. You're going to go for 5 each way. And then, George, our last one in our ankles, we'll grab that right side. Imagining there's a pen at the end of the second or third toe. You're going to point all the way like a dancer, draw that line down to the floor, and then we're going to flex the ankle and the toes, splaying the toes wide and squeezing back to the shin. You're going to go through 5 each way through that point and that flexion. Good. And range there, squeezing back, and then point, and pull back. Our last two. And then we'll go 5 on that other side. Excellent. Then we'll go back to that right foot. We're going to imagine the pen at the end of the second or third toe. You can grab onto your hamstring and kind of lock it out like a chokehold. So we'll go our same side arm into that hamstring, grab the opposite cuff of the elbow, and then that opposite hand into the knee. There, that works. Or here just works too. And we're going to pull on through to draw 3 circles, just moving through the tissue of your ankle. The thigh and the knee stay still. And we have 3 controlled circles one way, just like we did our wrist, getting that good point, that good rotation, the smoothest, most controlled circle you can, and then reverse it for 3 the other way. Good.
Yeah, I can definitely work on that one.
That's okay. And it's just not about how it looks, but about the control and the feel. And sometimes one ankle we can move through a nice big circle, and the other one feels harder to move through. So take the time, try to carve out the biggest circle you can, just isolating that ankle joint. And we got 3 on the other side. Getting that variability through. Okay, so this works really great to have a wall to support yourself, wiggling your bum all the way back. The closer your heels are to your pelvis for our butterfly stretch, the deeper it is on the inner thighs. And the further the heels are away, the more we get the hamstrings and a little bit less inner thigh. You're gonna sit up nice and tall there, keeping a nice tall length of the crown and spine, hands onto those ankles or toes. And then we're going to exhale and push our forearms into those inner thighs, gently squeezing the outer hip, the outer thigh on both sides, and trying to get your knees to send down to the floor. We're just going to hold this through for a minute here, and then we'll take some contractions in and out of the stretch. The contractions send a signal to the muscle spindles and receptors saying that you can produce force here, and then they'll let you a little bit more range. It's a little bit of a party trick when done one time. However, in a consistent practice over and over again, it's a really effective way to strengthen and produce active ranges into whichever joint we're looking through. So inhales to lengthen the spine, expand the ribs. Exhales to soften the inner thighs as we gently squeeze the outer thighs, sending the knees to the floor. And we have our last 20 seconds just melting into those outer ranges. Good. Our last breath there, sinking into that end range. Then we're going to produce an isometric contraction, staying at our end range. I want you to push your forearms into your knees. And then we're not going to let anything move in an isometric. The knees are going to imagine as if they could clamp closed shut, but your forearms push out. So squeeze your knees into your arms push into your knees, ramp up to 10% of your strength. Degree by degree, we're going to take it stronger to 20, pushing into one another 30%. 31, 32, all the way to 40% degree by degree, to 50, to 60%, to 70, to 80%. Your safest, greatest force to produce an adaptation into your hips for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax the breath, but stay in the stretch. And then you're going to keep your forearms like they are. Now this is a target, an area for you to widen and gap off of, creating more space. So squeeze the outer hips, outer thighs, ramp that up to your safest, greatest effort, drive those knees to the floor, try to create as much space from your inner thigh to the forearm as you can. That greatest, safest effort for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Now we're just going to move through a little bit of movement here. Butterfly pulses. Squeeze the legs as much as you can into your armpits, and then squeeze the knees down to the floor, the outer hips, the outer thighs. Try to get as high and as low as you can for 5 repetitions. You can do this body weight. You can do this with a little bit of pressure into your thighs, or you can even place dumbbells or plates on your thighs, and you can do that as well. So a little bit of progressions as you start. This is a movement that you can take for a long, long time until those knees go all the way down to the ground in our tailor pose butterfly stretch. Nice, pulsing through for those 5 repetitions. Now, both legs straight. You're going to take your right side to begin, just strapping that strap right into the ball of the foot. Let the length of the strap do the work. So keep your shoulders and your head anchored to the ground. Now flex that hip on up. And we're going to get a good hamstring stretch, just flexing on through. This will pair through that little bit tighter in our hamstrings as well. For that, I want you to keep a somewhat straight leg to the best of your ability. Then from here, we're going to create hip adduction to stretch here. So you're going to cross your midline just 60 degrees, just about there. And you should feel a good stretch forming here. Excellent. We're going to hold that stretch just for a minute. First 30 seconds in neutral, our last 30 seconds. Like we had the straight arm rotations in that joint, we're going to go straight leg rotations. So you'll feel and you'll see the foot move, but you want the rotation to happen deep in your hip. One more breath here just to soften through that outer IT. And then internal rotation, the big toe drops. We squeeze that thigh internally. External rotation, the pinky foot sways on the pinky edge, but we squeeze that outer hip, outer thigh. Internal end range, external end range, and you have 5 straight leg rotations, and you'll feel the lines of tension change across that IT band. You can pause in any area that feels a little bit more tense. And find that end range rotation. And then we'll release on through. That was exactly a minute, which is great. And let's take that to that other side. Good. Let the length of the strap do the work. Flex the hip end range, get a stretch in your hamstring, lock out that knee. Then you're going to adduct the hip 60 degrees past midline. It's about to 60 there till you feel a subtle stretch into the outer hip IT band. And we have 30 seconds just breathing through. And then we're moving into those straight leg rotations. So external rotation, that pinky edge goes wide, and then internal rotation, feeling deep in that hip socket for 5 rotations each way. Excellent. Your internal rotation is quite a bit more than your external. So for that external, we're just going to create a stretch here, the elbow in line with our shoulder. We'll take that dowel just to take on through. You're going to spin the elbow on the inside, wrap around and grab the dowel or the stick with the thumb facing down. And then to rotate that shoulder externally, just like we do when we squeeze the back of the blade, getting the wrist behind, we're just gonna pull the stick in and up to our chest. You can see that arm bone rotate. And there we're gonna hold for a minute per side with a pale and rail contraction. And then you can spin that thumb around and then just go, so the thumb on the,
So
yeah,
what's the best way to get in?
you had it right there. And then just get the thumb so it catches right on down in. So the
Yeah.
elbow will spin onto the inside and then bring this thumb down here and hold it like this. There
Oh,
you go.
gotcha, gotcha,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's excellent. We'll have our elbow in line with our shoulder, and then you're gonna pull that stick in and up to rotate your arm bone deep into that shoulder socket. Hold it there. We have a minute breathing through, and you should feel that stretch wrap into the bottom blade all the way up the back. Good. And that arm bone is rotating externally deep into that shoulder socket. Excellent. Exhale, we soften the tissue under stretch. Inhale to expand. Every 2 to 3 breaths on that exhale, you can rotate a little bit deeper if it feels there. Our last 20 seconds. Ribs tucked, nice and tall. And we'll take one more breath, settling into that end range. We're going to create a contraction here. Keep the stick pulling strong. And at the same time, I want you to start to imagine like you could win a bicep curl or arm wrestle, I should say. So that arm wrestle, squeezing that bicep just like a curl, and nothing moves, but you're going to create some force there, 10% of your strength, degree by degree, keeping that stick strong, trying to arm wrestle in 20%. 30%, 40, 50, 60%, 70, 80%, creating that adaptation for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and now exhale, soften, just pull a little bit deeper, and then take a nice breath and just into that new range, let it go. Good. And then we'll take our other side through. So we're here, yep, and then we'll take that elbow just to wrap on the inside of the stick, wrapping around, and then switch the, yes, just like that with our thumb grip, elbows in line with our shoulders, tailbone, rib cage tucked, we're nice and tall, and then we're just rotating that arm externally by pulling our stick in and up towards the chest. 1 minute here. Every exhale, we're melting that tissue under stretch. Every 2 to 3 breaths, if it's okay, you can deepen that rotational range, 10 to 20 degrees. Last 15 seconds, just melting into that end range. And then you're gonna keep that stick strong at our end range, keep it up and high, squeezing that left shoulder, just like you could win that arm wrestle, squeezing that bicep, 10% of your strength, degree by degree, 20 to 30 to 40% to 50 to 60, 70, 80%. Your safest, greatest effort for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. And then relax and soften. See if you can pull just 10 degrees more and then melt into that new range. Excellent. One more breath. On the inhale, we'll slowly release. Good. We're going to take that cow face stretch, right arm over left, and then left arm over right, and we're just going to go through a minute per side. Good. Turn it around through me there just to face the back. We'll have that left shoulder over right. Yep. Any way that you'd like to start. And then you're just going to turn to face the other side so I can see your back shoulders. Perfect. And just like you have it, your palm facing away on the bottom, palm facing towards you on that top. Crawl those hands as close as we can, expressing internal and external rotation. Don't compromise your shoulders. We want the stability and integrity there. And you're just going to go through a stretch for 1 minute. Inhale, big stretch, rib by rib to the top of the breath, full. Exhale, release, rib by rib, empty. You're just going to breathe through for a minute there. Good, deep breaths. Let that expansion of the ribs stretch out the shoulders. And then exhale, releasing through rib by rib to the bottom, empty. Our last 20 seconds. If you can crawl those hands a little closer in these last 10, feel free to set that end range. What I want you to do here, George, is make a good grip on either hand. Don't let the stick slip. And then we're going to squeeze the shoulders and try to pull that stick apart. 10% of your strength, degree by degree, 20%, 30, 40%, 50, 60, 70%, 80, your safest, greatest effort for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now keep the stretch, relax the breath. See if you can crawl the hands just a bit closer. Yes. And relax there. Take one more breath. Good. Good. And then just for the editing's sake, I'll just tell you just a shift through and do it on the other side. 1 minute hold and that pull apart. We'll hit that on the other side.